Oh, so we're live.
Good evening.
Anyone listening, welcome to the Aaron and Zannie show. Tonight we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, what it is, where the concepts come from. Is it a real thing? Is it a good thing for humanity? Are there any darker agendas attached to it? So I think we'll just dive straight in. Actually, no, we won't. Just because I always forget to mention a few things before we crack on, and I wanted to brief what's been going on in Flat Earth, and there has been a tour going on. So I just want to give a shout out to John Smith Worldwide and Jason Didsbury, who were travelling all over the UK basically, doing some direct street activism. So I haven't really been keeping up with it because I've been very, very busy. But if anybody wants to go to John Smith's Worldwide, there's a load of videos on there.
Yeah, I checked one of the videos out last night. I think they've only just John's only just started putting them out. So, yeah, it was good.
So they went to, are they in Ireland now?
No, not there yet, I don't think. They could be, though. Okay. The videos are a couple of days behind.
Has anything else been going on in Flat Earth that you know of?
The P1000's come out, so people are getting to grips with that. And hopefully there's some good footage coming our way.
For anyone that doesn't know, the P1000 is a camera by Nikon. They just had the P900, which was very successful. How long's that been out? About 5 or 6 years?
It's been out a while, hasn't it, now? 3 years.
And it's got great capabilities. It's fantastic for capturing the luminaries, especially. You seem to be able to... The interesting thing with that is, like, you seem to be able to get more detail on the moon, which is said to be 230 whatever kilometers away. But when you try and zoom in on the stars in the screen, should I say, it's not as clear as when you're looking at the moon. But that's just an interesting thing about optics. The P1000. Go on, Aaron, what are you going to say?
Well, I'm just going to say that it's got the 125 times zoom, so we should be getting some real good stuff coming from that.
We should start a GoFundMe because I want one.
Yeah, I want one.
I want a mobile phone as well, but
yeah, first priority is
first priority.
Get a phone.
Okay, artificial intelligence. Just off the bat, what intelligence is? Like, what does it sound like?
So you just broke up a little bit there. I think best is looking at the. Well, yeah, go on. What is it?
Well, when I look at the words together, it looks like an oxymoron. Like, how can something be intelligent and artificial?
Yeah. Is it possible to create an artificial intelligence? That's the thing, isn't it? Something that can empathise and feel, because intelligence don't just come with knowing something and have a massive memory bank. There's a lot more to intelligence than that. So can they create that?
Well, possible. As far as like goes, artificial it's like a broad spectrum of computer science. If you think of it in terms of like human intelligence and how, and then they try and put that into the mechanics of a computer. So, for humans, like, we can speak to each other and we can listen to each other, you know, to communicate. And that there's a technical term for this. It's called statistical learning. Like, how did we get that into a machine? Are we getting a bad signal already?
Yeah, you're not coming through too well.
Am I not?
No.
What about that?
Say it again.
I said, is that better?
No.
Taking up, or you're just not hearing me?
Yeah, that's better.
We'll continue.
Right, continue.
So yeah, we can learn through language. We learn image recognition, image processing, which is symbolic learning, and the computers as well. They can, you know, a computer can scan an image and look at it, you know, top to bottom, left to right, an image. But then they've got, like, attached to the statistical learning, which they've got in the computers, is like, and they've got this, haven't they? Because they've got, you can things without typing it in, or helpful. How else do we learn? Oh, we all move around, and we can, you know, we can get in and out of the bath. For computers, that takes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're still coming and going.
Right, I'll just try and do you know what the difference is?
If I can just hear a sentence clearly without it going on and off through it, that'd be all right.
Oh, why is it doing this? We've had until half an hour ago. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now. Well, then you're just going off again. It's just making it difficult for me to follow you, but if I can't follow you, then no one else is going to follow you either. If you turn your bike off.
No, I didn't turn my mic off. But thanks for letting me know.
It's always a service.
Yeah.
Until it's fine till you go live.
I'll start again.
Right. I can hear you.
Basically, what I'm is that artificial intelligence, for the purpose of computers, is they input a computer with loads of data. The computer tries to learn certain things. They're better at this than we are because they've got more capabilities. We're restricted in the fact that they learn in the terms of 3 dimensions, whereas a computer can learn in thousands of dimensions. And therefore, whatever data you put into the computer, then it's able to make predictions based on that, which is why we see, you know, in our timelines, or why we're offered certain videos from YouTube, etc. Because it's been, every time we type something in the computer, giving it some information about ourselves, and then it's storing and making predictions on what we might be interested in.
Yeah,
Did you
it's
get
got
any of
like a
that?
portfolio of you, but is that intelligence? Or is it just like a memory bank that you fill in and it's just doing a shortcut for you?
Well, that's it is a memory bank. Humans are good at remembering things. You know, we remember what we did yesterday or our holiday from last summer. But what the computer can, very accurate predictions based on that information. So it can kind of predict human behaviour. A lot can predict human behaviour, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it can
But
interpret
like you said, yeah,
statistics, but can it like predict human nature? And if a circumstance changes outside of what its predictions have been shown, can it predict that?
well,
Like, it can't predict the weather
one in
well, can it?
no,
And you know, I think they're putting a lot of the artificial intelligence into that kind of thing.
well, one I did come across. I don't even know how true this is, but there was an some supercomputer that recreated another intelligence than itself. But at the same time that it was creating it, let's call it a baby, effectively and as efficiently as it had been programmed to do.
But at the end of the day, if we're programming it, then it can't surpass what we're putting into it, can it?
But it did.
It created something better than itself.
That say, you know, ran at 85% accuracy, created something that ran at like accuracy.
I don't know.
So I suppose that's where a lot of fear could come into it. You know, become experts like Stephen Hawking's also pleaded with the scientific community on a number of occasions, you know, to tread carefully with artificial intelligence because it might be the last thing that we ever do. So I'm just wondering, is this like fear mongering? Is it just another one of those things where they try and scare us into not acting normally? You know, keep us in our.
It's like the power of manifestation. Do they just put the ideas out there and let our minds create it for them? Or is that what the idea behind artificial intelligence is? To do the manifestation thing? Would it be capable of that?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Facebook have got something called Facebook Chat, and the executive decided to run Facebook Chats. I think it's a bit like Google. Talk to it and ask it something, and it'll bring up what you're looking for or take you to where it is you want to be. Well, they ran this little experiment where they let two Facebook chats talk to each other, and very quickly they created their own secret coded language that the executives couldn't figure out, and this frightened them because they thought, you know, this isn't needed before, so they scrapped the experiment.
Yeah, but it's like that's what it would do, though, wouldn't it? It wouldn't speak in English because computers are all binary, aren't they? So they would communicate in binary code. It's just
They'd been set up to speak in English, and what they were talking to each other sounded nonsense, but it sounded like nonsense. But it was in their opinions anyway. It was a secret code that these computers were talking between each other.
why would you want us listening in?
What do you mean?
Like humans, I mean, if you created something, you wouldn't want that creator to listen to what you're saying, knowing that they're studying you. If you had enough intelligence to figure that out, and would just create your own sort of lingo, and that's what they're saying.
Yeah, well, then that.
Well, surely they
Yeah, that's what they're
think these
saying.
things out and think of the. You don't need a computer to do all your thinking. Why they're considering these issues of what ifs and worst case scenarios, and not having another computer do it for you, just write it down on paper. What's the potential downsides of such a thing?
Yeah, sorry. I suppose that was the idea of the experiment in the first. What these computers would communicate with the communicator all, and then they kind of went rogue, started to speak code. But then if they started doing that and they started talking in code so that the engineers couldn't understand the conversation, does that not suggest that these computers are self-aware?
Well, it's like, what can they do though? What can they do with being self-aware? I mean, they're not able-bodied and they're lacking in many forms, aren't they? So, can you have true intelligence without all the other things, the other forms of intelligence that come with it? Empathy and feeling and smelling and tasting and happy and sad. All these things that life throws at you that say we called people wise who learned a lot through their lives. Could a computer ever be wise?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thought, though. Oh, if they did, let's try and imagine that they become self-aware and then they could communicate amongst each other. And then we've already got this artificial intelligence itself that was a better. Couldn't they take over the electronic systems and the computer systems of the whole world?
Well, it seems like they want to try and build something that's capable of that, don't they? With all the Wi-Fi and the smart meters and the G5 network, SmartNet. What's smart about it? I don't know. But they're building a network where it could probably sustain artificial intelligence, to free roam in its environment. So we're giving it the power because it can't just do it alone. It needs all this backup, doesn't it? So we're putting it there in its place, like the driverless car. But it's not going to be an intelligent thing, is it? It's just going to be a programmed robot.
It is going to be a programmed robot, yeah.
Mm.
But an advanced robot.
Yes, super. But all that programming is done by a human at the end of the day to do what humans want it to do. It's not going to go off and start doing its own thing.
Yeah. Well, they reckon next is to build super intelligence, and then they want intelligent. For example, when if you know if we're reading something, how it's written, in what style it's written, or what font it's written, we can always recognise it. It doesn't matter if I'm reading writing, some cursive, or some printed bold lettering. I can always read the sentence, but a computer, so they haven't got the what humans do. Like when you're trying to open something, there's a robot read these letters, type them in, and all they've done is put grouped up and a line through them. But you can still read those letters. You can still recognise that it's a B, a C, a K, a 1, a 3, and an O. But a computer can't.
Yeah, like not just with handwriting, like with sarcasm and stuff like that, and humour. I'm sure, can it understand that? Every personality is different, so can it read just personality traits? Can it anticipate the person's personality and how they write and what they're saying? Might not always be, you have to think about some of these things, what people write, don't you? They're there to create thought. The answer isn't there, but can a computer understand that?
Yeah, I don't think they're quite there with it yet.
That's
I don't think they could ever get there.
But artificial intelligence could never be human, is it? But are they trying to create a human in a computer? Is that the goal, or is it to create something else, something of its own?
I think the goal is leading somewhere into. I can't remember who said this. Ray Kurzweil, is that I think it's some Singularity University or something. He says by the year 2030, they'll be connected to artificial technology, like physically connected, make superhuman.
That's how they sell it, though, don't they? They sell it as transhumanism is improving on being human. It's making you a better version of yourself. Is it really? They never sell it as you show a dark side of it, what other bad things could go wrong.
I suppose one of the ways to artificial intelligence would be the microchips that are being tested as of the world, but they're very limited. That's just like to get you logged onto your computer, and things like that. And that's not being superhuman. I mean, it's not. Is that just opening a door or? The bells. The bells.
It don't normally do that.
It does.
Does it always?
Yeah.
I've never noticed it do 10 chimes though.
Oh yeah, it's like we were just talking about transhumanism and the way that they can connect us up to artificial intelligence. Like you say, I agree with what you say. Like, artificial intelligence is never really intelligent. It's not like a sentient being. Even if these things become self-aware, like they have suggested that they can do, can they have any feelings about anything, or
I think they're trying
any kind of emotion?
I think they're trying to recreate it with like the D-Wave computer, which is like a quantum computer, and it's difficult to understand what they're trying to sell it, but they're saying it can go into different dimensions and that. I can't really get my head around it. And they're saying they could like take resources from these other dimensions, but where are they really going with it? And they keep them like at super cool temperatures, like minus 200 degrees, something crazy like that. And it's like, what are they really doing with it? Where do they get the ideas to create these things for a start? And what they're doing with it. I mean, what powers do they get from it? I can't get my head around it. It's quite deep.
Who's developing that? Do you know?
It's called D-Wave
Oh.
Quantum Computers. But there's a TED talk on it, and they mentioned like taking resources. I don't know how that can be achieved from a microchip at super cool temperatures, but they're saying they're going interdimensional. And I think a lot of these theories about our reality come from these computers, where they're saying we're living in an hologram and stuff like that. But
Right.
because they're putting science up against this computer, and it's not like coming back as things they tell us. So they're taking an alternate look at reality. It might be because it's not that; it must be an hologram, you know, rather than the obvious bit the real answer.
Well, I suppose to get on board with that idea, first of all, you have to accept that there are other dimensions. But so this computer can take people to these other dimensions, or just itself.
Well, what do they mean by resources? Can that computer connect to other computers in other dimensions? Are there such things? What are they connecting to? Is it a physical world? Does that work? I have no idea.
And how could they bring the resources back here?
Yeah,
It all sounds a bit beam me up, Scotty.
well, it sounds like something from Stargate, but where is it created? You might have the computer, but what information that processes, is it being sent somewhere else, and you're just seeing the tail end of it rather than the front of where it all happens, and it's shown what it is recreating? Or does it just come up on a screen like every other computer?
Yeah, a very deep stuff. Interesting that you bring up like Stargate though, because that's supposed to be a fictional program for television, just for entertainment. But I was reading that Gateway project that you sent me from the early 80s, and it sounds like Stargate was that could have been some of its inspiration was taken from there.
Yeah, definitely. Like anything else, it never shows the full truth, and they just like when it stimulates your imagination and resonates with people, and there's tales of Stargates all over the world in ancient history and in ruins and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Are we still online? Because the watch page has gone off.
yeah, everyone's probably jumped out because the reception was pretty bad for the first half hour.
It's telling me that the video is unavailable.
I can hear you now though, so it's all good.
Because might not be able to hear us. Because I'm watching the page what the viewers can see, and it just came up and said that it's unavailable. Oh, it's back on now. So yeah, we're talking about artificial intelligence and what is it? Is it really intelligence? Can it really mimic human behaviour? Are its predictions accurate? Where are we going with it?
Is it open to?
It seems a bit.
is it open to demon possession? You know, if they're creating an intelligence and it's got things missing, someone's going to want to fill that.
Well, Elon Musk, who is one of the main leaders in the driverless cars, there's a quote. He says, "Artificial intelligence is paramount to summoning the devil." So it quite possibly could have something to do with, bringing in different entities, whether you want to call them demonic or other intelligent beings or whatever. But that's what he reckons. That it's like summoning the devil. But he's out there, one of the main faces of artificial intelligence. So he's not worried about it.
No, he's a promoter, isn't he? He probably is artificial intelligence, isn't it?
Well, I saw him smoking a joint on the Joe Rogan show.
It didn't look like it was an alien, though, did it?
It didn't. It had no effect on him, according to him. But yeah.
He did look flustered, though.
He was uncomfortable. He didn't want to admit that it had any effect, but you could see it made him feel uncomfortable because he was like,
If he smokes good shit, it's like credit where credit's due, isn't it?
Yeah. But he didn't want to admit that it had any effect. I don't know what that's about. But so, like these computers, well, we'll just go back in time a little bit. Alan Turing, he was a guy at the end of World War II. Well, he was very big during the in World War II, and he was given credit for something like shortening World War II with all these code cracking and working on the Enigma machine and all that. He wrote a paper, I think in 1950, called "Computing Machines and Intelligence," and one of his quotes in the paper was, "I propose to consider the question, can machines think?" Based on what we know, I don't think that they can think. That's just my opinion. I just think they're inputting data, analysing it from many different angles at rapid speeds. That's the only reason they're better than humans at it, because of the speed that they can do it. And because they're not, we're distracted by all external factors, so, and they can just work solely on the task at hand. So can they actually think, or is it just processing information and making predictions based on that?
Well, I suppose it depends on what things you're giving it to think about. So I've never engaged with it, so I can't really say. But not knowingly engage with it, should I say? I'm sure if you come talking to me on Messenger once or twice, asking for money.
See, I just think they're real people. I don't think the computers want your money. I think real people want it.
Yeah, but if you start being sarcastic and things like that, sometimes it goes a bit weird, the conversation.
Right. But I think sarcasm's lost on the internet anyway.
Yeah, some countries just don't get it.
No. Unless, your first language, unless the person you're speaking to has the same first language as you and is from like a similar region where people do you know, but share certain qualities of humour, it gets lost very quickly. I noticed that even talking to someone from down south, you know, things get lost in translation, and we're both speaking the same language.
Yeah.
So things come across. But this is the subtleties that machines don't pick up on. Like, you know, when if I'm texting someone I know a message, that even though they're reading it on a screen, they're hearing my tone of voice because they know me so well. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they can pick up on the sarcasm and they can pick up on the humour, but a computer's not going to be able to do that.
No, it can't decipher. So that's where intelligence comes in, doesn't it? Can it decipher between the two? And if it's, I thought about this, like on Facebook, is like the artificial intelligence learning from us in our comments and when we comment on each other. But a lot of the information that we share amongst each other is misinformation anyway. So, can they learn from that? Because, or would they be programmed the absolute truth and learn from that approach?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to say good evening to Richard Burke. He's late home from work tonight. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't like to be working late on a Friday either, Richard. Basically, we're just talking about artificial intelligence, and what is it, and what's the potential of it, and are there any dangers for humanity? Now, was it last year that there was the whole Sophia outcry? This humanoid robot that there was parading around talk shows, and it was asked certain questions, and it said in the future it would want to destroy mankind. Does anyone remember that?
Yeah, I remember it.
What did you make of it?
Well, Sophia's been on a long journey. It's like the I don't know, the public face of artificial intelligence as sort of a sentient being. So they've made it a citizen of Saudi Arabia and sort of using. They've given it a passport, a Saudi Arabian citizenship. So then, but they're doing this process because they're creating a Bitcoin under the Sophia's sort of through its intelligence, creating a cryptocurrency, and then it compare taxes to the system. So they give it a citizenship, so then it compare taxes, and that's just how it's all working. It's just a scam, really, isn't it? That's where Sophia's gone anyway.
To Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
Oh well, good luck to her.
citizen.
I wonder if she feels more.
I wonder if she'll have to wear a veil.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that she'd been decapitated.
Probably married her to some rich Arab or something. He got jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all fucked up, really, isn't it? It's like they'd be like robot rights and things like that. Oh, you've got artificial intelligence's feelings with that one. You can just see where it's all going. You're not allowed to shout at your iPhone.
Well, what do you make of Alexa? Google's Alexa. That's a little robot in your house.
Yeah, and people are welcoming it, aren't they? It's a funky device, the device to have, but it's just a listening device, isn't it? You're just telling it your whole life and routine, and it's just jotting it all down. Can it think? Can it tell you anything you want to know? I don't think it can. It's just it can tell you what it's programmed to tell you.
Yeah, you can just turn the lights on when you ask it and find something. You know, if you ask it a question, it can look it up through its Wikipedia index.
Yeah, it knows everything about you, what music you like, what telly you watch, when you get up, when you go to bed. frightening.
But can't your smart TV do all that anyway?
Well, that's it. No one's really looking at the negatives of it. It's just all, oh yeah, I got to have one of them. It's the latest thing. It does all this, but they give it you at the price, don't they? Like you say, if you're having a conversation about coffee, a coffee advert will come on, but not just listening to conversations about coffee, are they? Listening to everything. But I don't know why they're so interested in what we've got to say.
And
Who's listening?
And also, exactly who's listening. It's not like this computer program's interested in you. So these are other humans that are interested in you.
But how much power would it need to tune into every single person? Is that where the artificial intelligence is coming in, where it's just can listen to 1,000 people at once and then just have trigger words where it'll bring a human into listening?
Yes, I would say so.
That's how it looks.
It'll be programmed with certain words. So basically, if you've not got a smartphone, chances are you could have a smart TV, and if you've not got a smart TV, chances are you could have Alexa or some other device like Alexa.
You've got Siri on the phone, haven't you?
So then it's like they're just covering all bases. Not everyone's got an iPhone, but someone, you might have one of the other ones.
Yeah, they're all across the board, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're just making sure that everybody's covered, basically, in that regard, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's like the worst thing that could happen to you, because there's no such thing as privacy anymore.
No such thing as privacy. It's like, I always bring this up, it's such a little thing, but it irritates me. Many people have got Facebook and Facebook Messenger. People send each other messages, etc. But the person who sent the message can see if the recipient has read that message or not. I think that is an invasion of privacy. Do you know? Because then the person who sent the message is sat then waiting for a response, and they're like, why is this fucking not responded to me? Sent this message 2 days ago, See what I mean?
Yeah, like, I get that with delivered and things, but it's good to know your message has got across and they're ignoring you.
Yeah, but it's not anyone else's business.
So, but then
that also causes room for people to get offended or upset because they think the other person might be ignoring them. In actual fact, they're not ignoring them. They're just having a busy part of the day, and they might not have even actually read the message, just clicked on it. So it's causing unnecessary tensions where no tension is needed, like unnecessary anxiety.
Yeah, that's what it's there for, really, isn't it? It's like we feel like it is improving our lives, and it might appear that way sometimes. But say in work and things like that, and they just constantly can get a hold of you. There's no escaping it. They know where you are because they got like trackers on cars and on your phones, and can just get hold of you. So it's just adding to your pressure. There's no escaping it. And there is no consideration of that taken into account. It's just like it doesn't exist. There is no boundaries. You've got a message and you must answer that message, and it's pinging twice your phone. And it's like message.
Yeah, and the whole mobile phone thing. Like, you're expected these days to have a mobile phone. You're expected to be reachable.
You can't function without one.
Well, I can function fine without one.
Yeah, but you've got a laptop. You have to have a connection to the net in some way, shape, or form. Without it, you're really struggling in life, even getting a job or just socializing with friends and things.
Yeah, because that's the way everybody's gone,
Yeah,
and
gone that way.
it's the way it is the way that the system's pushing it,
It's,
especially like
mm,
in the UK, you know, the social welfare system that you can't talk to anyone anymore.
no,
If you're in the social welfare system, you can't talk to anyone, you can't ring anyone up. You've got to do it online.
yeah, it's
Um,
all
so
automated. Press button 1, 2, 3, 4. So you like cutting all them jobs out, and then when you do
well,
where you want to be, you're kept on a hold for at least a minimum of half an hour. So
you've just touched on a really good point there. Robots taking people's jobs. I saw a statement today that said, in 5 years' time, a robot will have taken over your job, and where will you be then? Now, we're already seeing it in supermarkets, for example, with the self-service tills,
mm,
which I think are delightful, but they're a pain in the arse. You know, people haven't been trained to work them, and you know, there's some lady out of a job there because there's these self-service tills. I know you're a good citizen and you always go to a checkout with somebody on it,
yeah, that's a moral code that I follow.
but
Keep doing jobs.
before how long before there are no you know there are no checkout personnel
It's
and
not
it's
just the
all
checkouts,
computer.
is it? It's banks, job centres, everything's closing down and going online or run by computers. So, like I say, you can't avoid being part of it by having a smartphone or some connection to the internet. So they force you into it, don't they?
Yeah, you're forced into it.
Yeah. But
um
you having a phone in you isn't now enough because you have some privacy when you leave your phone behind. So then next thing is going to be the RDF chips, is it?
yeah.
So what sort of capabilities are they going to have in them that they're going to put in us? It's
um
that's and they're encouraging people. They're going to make like they're going to make it impossible to a point for some people where they will not be able to not have one. They're working high security and things like that, and they've got to get through a lot of gates and buzzers. They probably force that on them.
yeah, I think they'll be the first people they will force it on. They tested it on a company in Sweden. I'm going back a few years now. um People queued up to get it, where basically it got you into the building, it got you onto your floor of the building, got you into your office, it opened your computer, like basic things like that. But really, what is the purpose of chipping people other than to monitor the whole movements?
Yeah, it's all about control again, and why they're so paranoid that they want to know every single thing we do. Fucking most people are doing nothing 99% of the time anyway.
Well, what if the leaders of the control system, what if they're taking their advice from artificial intelligence? Now, the way artificial intelligence works is, you know, just like data is put in, it analyzes it, and then it makes predictions, and it can make quite accurate predictions. So, what if
Mm.
it's making predictions based on certain bits of information, and it's from these predictions the leaders are taking the cues?
Well, it's probably is that's the way it is. I'd be surprised if they didn't have something like that as a think tank.
But then it's almost like artificial intelligence then is controlling the system.
They've always had the challenges against like artificial intelligence and the human brain with like playing chess. And then eventually the computer beat the human chess genius, so it surpassed his intelligence. But I mean, That's just a game, innit?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago as well. You know, it's like 10 years ago. So 05, they come beyond that point with it, and I imagine they come on leaps and bounds. We're always 10 years behind what's really going on anyway, minimum.
At least.
Yeah. So what they're doing with it, you know, are they constructing a system that's designed by artificial intelligence? You know.
Well, that's one of my theories on Sophia, this humanoid robot. You know, they rolled her out, in my opinion, to show us how unhuman these robotoids are. But if we're like, you know, decades behind, have they really got realistic humanoids that are in society? You know, experimentally.
Yeah, like the guy who runs Facebook, he looks like a computer, doesn't he?
It
You
looks like,
imagine one.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
no emotions.
like that data. It's just a matter of time. Would anything surprise you? What's going on this day and age? Because things are moving fast.
No, it wouldn't.
Mm.
Well,
They do show us like these androids, and they look a long way off being any kind of humanoid form. But you know, like we say, it could be stuff they're showing us from 10 years ago. There's always got like robot wars that are pitting robots and people's robots and ideas against each other. They take it all on board, don't they?
yeah, of course.
Turn it into
Well,
get the best out of people.
I was watching this thing, biological robots, do with them and where they are at with them. And they've got this thing, I can't remember what it's called, but it monitors activity on the ocean floor. But what it's made out of is biological material from a sea slug mixed with stuff from a 3D printer, and then it's hooked up to this little computer inside it, and the robotics as well, so that it can move around and swim.
Right.
What they want to do, according to this short film I watched, is some scientists at the Oxford University want to make biological biological robots, you know, based on the human skeleton form, so that they can help amputees, for example. So they'll build like a biological leg from biological materials. I find that kind of freaky.
Well, it's just amazing, isn't it? But it's like, where's the boundaries? How far are they gonna go with it? They're quite close to. Because I watched something earlier, and this guy, he had this like, it was attached to the back of his skull and to his throat and then to his jaw, and it sort of read his thought processes, and he could order a pizza online and get it delivered to where they were just through thinking. So they are tuning into it.
Yeah, picking up on someone's actual thoughts.
On the thought process, yeah. So it's like
Yeah,
kinetic, isn't it?
yeah. So before they've even been verbalized.
Yeah, so they know exactly what they're tuning into.
Yeah, that's frightening.
It is, yeah. But they always push it as a positive. Oh, look how easy you can make your life. You don't even have to type now. You can just slap this on your face and your head and just think it. And it, you know, but what else is it tuning into? What other thoughts?
So, are there any machines out there like you know, like radio towers? Can they pick up on our thoughts?
Well, that's something you posted to me the other day about targeted individuals. Now, is this coming from the 5G towers? Because this is all connected to the you know, the computer systems and smart grid. It's creating a smart grid. So It's all hand in hand, isn't it?
Yeah, this has been going on for quite a long time. People that are in the program, it took them years to realise that they're in a program. A lot of them just thought they were going mad. What they use is something called V2K, which is called voice to skull technology. So basically, you've got some guy in a tech room, probably military based, or at least it's some kind of black ops, and they can transmit thoughts into your brain so that you can hear them audibly. No one else can hear them. You can hear them, um, and try and convince people that it's their own thoughts, and try and convince them to do things that they'd never do. Like murder your mum, and just keep repeating things to you like, if it was murder your mum, oh, she's an evil cow. She hates you. She's treated you bad all your life. Things like that. But over periods of time, could be quite convincing.
Yeah, this gets reported quite a lot. I mean, they're leaving CIA files that'll tell you about this stuff.
But unfortunately, for the victims of this, the whole program is designed to mimic mental illness or schizophrenia. So when they go to the doctor or some form of authority and say, I'm hearing voices in my head, they're not my voices, then they, they get a little mark against the name, say this person's mentally ill, and then everything they say is invalidated because they've been smeared with mental illness.
Yeah, that's it. Your name is tainted, then it's marked. And that's why they're pushing all the antidepressants people, because it goes as a mark.
Say that again, Aaron.
The pushing antidepressants on people, it sort of goes as a mark against your name as not being able to deal with stress and things like that. So it's like a mental illness mark.
Yeah.
So you sort of handing power over to the state. Sorry?
I hadn't considered that was a reason why antidepressants are pushed so heavily on people.
Yeah, it's like seen as an answer, but it comes at a cost. And like I just mentioned, then you're handing your control over to the state, then you're not capable of making critical decisions.
Excuse me. I'll just apologise to the viewers. I am suffering with a bit of a cold at the moment, so I'm a bit sniffly and a bit coughy. So sorry if I sound all bunged up. Yeah, tonight we're talking about artificial intelligence, and what it all entails and where it's leading us as the human race, basically.
It's making us lazy, isn't it, in thought, because everything's done for you. So
definitely,
it's not creating knowledge.
no, I think
using it for that. They're just using it for entertainment and as a distraction. No one's really using it to its full potential.
well, even like simple things such as how to spell something, or who wrote what book when. You just Google it and it's there. You don't have to search your memory banks. You don't have to think about it. All you have to do is be able to type it in, or you don't even have to be able to type it in these days. You can just ask Google or Alexa, and they'll tell you. So surely that's got to make your brain capacity smaller because you're not firing those neurons like you would have been.
It's even like spell checking it. I mean, it's all done for you though.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to remember anything.
No, so it just makes us mentally lazy, which is going to be our downfall, isn't it?
Well, yeah, think it's the start of our downfall. People just not thinking for themselves.
Well, you got
Relying on.
a full generation brought up on iPads, haven't you? With such short attention spans that you can't hold a thought for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All part of the New World Order plan, running perfectly.
Well, if people can't, organise their thoughts or hold one thought from one moment to the next, and they're going to be very, very easy to control. And just the simple fact that people just forget so quickly the wrongdoings that have been done against them, because they're so easily distracted. So it is quite dangerous. Looking at it in a philosophical way, like you mentioned earlier about the capabilities of artificial intelligence, in the sense that it doesn't have the subtleties that human beings have. It doesn't have it. There's none of the emotions attached, none of the feelings attached. There's no empathy there or anything like that. Artificial intelligence, it could just be a giant psychopathic net, Skynet.
Well, it does take a lot of human energy, away from us. It's like putting all that into nothing, really, aren't we? Liking things, and say you get on a train, everyone's on the phone. It's like no one wants to create a conversation next to a stranger or even look at a stranger. They want to, it's easy to just look on the phone and be in that world.
Yeah, so people don't.
Working perfectly, innit? Because it's like the community aware, giving you a smartphone, and that's like made up for it, where everyone's just isolated in their own little world.
In their own little artificial bubble.
Yeah, and it's like strengthening this artificial bubble of people don't feel separated even though they are.
Yeah.
False sense of security it's giving you.
When it comes to public transport and things, people don't even like making eye contact anymore.
Oh, I mean, the bus driver don't even say hello. You always say thanks. It's like they always acknowledge you as a person because they've like screened them off and just like distance them from like humanity, really. So it's just everything.
But when you're on a train or the underground, and there's always that recorded message. If you see something suspicious, report it. I wonder if eye contact will soon be considered as suspicious behaviour. Well, that guy smiled at me.
Yeah, he stared at me. Well, it's like getting that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where
That man said,
don't know.
Excuse me.
People don't like eye contact, or it's like you're offending them as if you're trying to. I don't know. It's like a challenge to ego or something.
Well, it's almost as if people are afraid that you're going to strike up a conversation with them, and then they're going to have to interact with you. It's a strange state of affairs to find ourselves in.
It is, and where we're going with it, because it's getting worse by the day.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was just looking at the chat. Sorry to jump conversation, but Richard Burke is just thrown in a couple of interesting questions there when we've been talking about the, voice to skull stuff. He's also said look into embryo-based editing, so they can program humans now. Apparently, I haven't actually heard of that one before, Richard. So thank you for that. I will look into that. And another one is Manufacturing Dreams, Dan Young, University of California. Now, that's an interesting thing, manufacturing dreams, because I was talking to a guy at Hyde Park, and he was describing a lot of the similar things that I experience at night time with the vibrations and being sucked out of your body and like astral projection, etc. But I was always under the illusion that this was a natural phenomenon, and it was a superpower that I had. But he was telling me that it's not natural at all, and they beam it at you from these radio towers or wherever to control your dreams or to snatch your dreams and things like that. So I didn't have time to speak to him in detail, but that's where he was going with it, which obviously I didn't like the sound of, because I've become comfortable with it and enjoy it and
thinking it's
kind of
not.
control it.
Mm.
But he was saying that no, it's not. You're being targeted, and it's them basically doing that to you. It's not a natural phenomenon. So I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I will have to look more deeply at it.
Yeah, I think I talked to the same guy, and he was really interesting, and he was talking about fighting on the astral plane and things like that. It's
Yeah,
something I've never experienced myself, but who am I to judge? And yeah, he seemed pretty convincing.
yeah.
And you
Well,
experienced some similar kinds of things.
well, yeah. I like travelled to what I always believed was the astral plane, and like help people, rescue people that either in
Well,
trouble
that
spiritually.
well, that's the thing. He never talks about it as if he's alone. There's like thousands of people sort of experiencing the same thing and fighting together and things. And it's something I would like to experience, but if it comes at the price of being under constant attack, I don't think it'd be worth it.
Mm.
From what he was describing.
Yeah, because and also I have also felt under attack by different things. But I do feel that a lot of it is fear based, and it's not that it's not real. It's real, but you're giving it a certain amount of power by being fearful, and it's the fear that it wants to feed off, whatever that it is. And once you can relinquish that fear, you've got a hell of a lot more power and capabilities over there.
Well, yeah, you take the power away and give it back to yourself, and once you get through that fear phase.
Mm. So anyway, he was explaining that there's technologies out there that can control and manipulate this kind of activity. So I'll be looking more into that because it was fascinating.
Around for quite some time, apparently.
Yep.
Not like a new concept, so I'm sure they can just master it, and I'm pretty sure they can affect people's emotions and get people falling out and stuff like that. I'm sure there's just days where you just families fall out for no reason and there's no sense behind it. Like, is this being artificially induced? Is there just of everyone in a street or something, and they just?
I think that can be induced in many ways. The moods of people can be affected with certain technologies, definitely. But then it's not what like you were saying before. It's not the technology what's doing it. It wasn't the technology's idea. It's men what developed this technology and programmed it to do specific tasks.
Yeah, I'm sure it could do brilliant things like heal and, you know, but it always seems to be a negative reason for bringing it out. They always, the ruling class seem to focus on the negatives in everything that they give to us.
Yeah. Well, they have to really, because otherwise, the only way that they can rule us is to keep us down and downtrodden. Because if we're all happy and uplifted all the time, uh, you've got a lot more control over yourself when you're like that. But when you're miserable, you're more reactionary, rather than thinking things through and responding appropriately. You just react, in that moment. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's not an healthy place to be, is it? In a constant state of fear, and you're easily controlled and more open to subliminal messaging when you're in that state. So that's why they always seem to want to create it with,
yeah,
over exaggerating, turning the weather, making it into something that it's not. Any opportunity is exaggerated. We're on the brink of war. It's the doomsday clock's 1 minute to midnight and stuff like this. It's just always constantly reminded. You can't escape it.
yeah. Well, seeing as you've brought up war, and we've been talking about artificial intelligence,
Mm.
somebody did say that they reckon the last war we'll ever have will be with the artificial intelligence.
Well, it comes back from like when the 80s, doesn't it, with war games and this artificial computer takes over all the nuclear warheads and blows the world up, and it's like we have no control over it. And some little kid said there, but it's sort of just they're implementing this thought, this seed of fear that's just going to grow as that, as this, as things improve and it is given more power, and it becomes a reality, and then that's always there in the back of your mind. But as we know, nuclear bombs don't exist, so there's no chance of that.
Well, yeah, and it's just like, when those things are put out there, I don't think they're put out there by someone that, had the vision of the future or the foresight to see the direction of the way things were going. I think they're deliberately put there, embedded into our subconscious, so that we manifest that reality for ourselves.
Mm.
You know,
Well, that's back to the power of the mind, and we keep giving it away, and so it's just becoming a second part of being human. It's like the body's first and the mind's just second. We've got this phone that can do all our thinking for us. It makes life easier when we should be focusing on the mind more, really. Trying to figure things out, what makes us us. Just
well, yeah, I think this whole artificial intelligence and the whole kit and caboodle is stunting our uh, mental growth.
Yeah.
Um, very,
They said just by having a phone, an iPhone in your field of vision, if you're not using it, 25% of your cognitive function is distracted just by it being in the same room as you, that you can just, even if it's just at the side, you're not using it. So it's a distraction, it's there, it's like a mental addiction that's been created.
yeah, I definitely do see the whole technology thing as an addiction. People are fascinated with the devices, and they do give the devices a lot more. Um, Richard Burke. Sorry, I've just cut off mid sentence because this is. If you'd like to give us some links, but you need a wrench to be moderator, I don't even know how to do it. Sorry.
I think he deserves to be made a moderator.
It does. How do I do it? Let me see if I can find. Richard, how do I make you moderator? You've had so much input into Hangout. Like it lost without you at times.
Yeah, it's, just brush it. There's a lot to get in. It's just certain topics. There's a lot involved in it, and the implications are massive. And it's like, do you touch on it all and bring it all together?
Yeah. Control room, that might be it. No, that's just our sound and stuff. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure
No, you're right. Where's a robot when you need one?
I know. Someone ask Alexa, how do I make some? Sorry, I am retarded, but I consider that a feather in my cap. Yeah, you can't paste me. Anyway, I can't figure it out just now because I'm trying to concentrate on two things at one time. But if you're here this time next week, Richard, I will have figured it out for you. Because I am really interested in that. Yeah, so basically with the artificial intelligence and what they're trying to build, I'm paraphrasing, but they're trying to plagiarize the human mind, but they can only get it to a certain level. There's so much about being human that they can never put it into a computer. But they physically hook us up to artificial intelligence. That's giving away even more of our power than what we've already given it to begin with.
Well, I was looking at something called a neural lace, and it's like an injection you can get, which they put in the base of your spine, and it like maps out your brain, but it puts like this metal mesh into it, and then you can sort of mentally connect with computers and stuff like that. But that got me to thinking, all this chemtrails stuff that they're spraying in these heavy metals, is that sort of a neural lace that they're laying down there for, it's just, it makes you wonder what they're actually getting up to, because we're just guessing most of the time, trying to make sense of it. But it seems to be heading in that kind of direction. Where the thought police, I mean, would they read these books and then they try and set civilization up as a roadmap to that book. So it's like, where the thought police, would they get to that point? It would have to be some kind of neural lace, wouldn't it? So is that where we're heading? Which is really scary.
Sorry, my computer just went off then because Richard, I just figured out how to make you moderator, but when I clicked on it, all my computer went off. So it's gonna have to be something I do at the start of a hangout rather than midway through it, because I have a really finicky internet connection, and if I stress my computer, it just all goes off. So I only caught half of what you were saying there.
Yeah, I was just on about neural lace, and you can they're on about it. It's saying it's like an injectable mesh that they put into the base of your skull, and it sort of maps out this mesh into your brain. It sounds horrible, but then you would mentally be able to connect with like computers, and they read your mind. So it'd be like something like the thought police, be able to read what you're thinking. But then I'm looking at it from the point of view of the chemtrails. Is that a form of neural lace that they're laying down where we're inhaling all these heavy metals for that purpose?
It very well could be.
Yeah,
it's a frightening thought.
Well, it's like where we're going with it. Smartphone 10, smartphone 11, but they're not actually that smart, and it's just, it's just the same shit, isn't it? Basically, So eventually we're going to get to a point where they're going to take a leap forward, and what could that possibly be?
Well, I mean, if they're mapping out your brain with this neural waves,
Mm.
and then like you mentioning the thought plates and stuff, but the computer is making predictions on what you might think in the future. Like, say I get pissed off with my husband one time, and then based on that, the computer makes a prediction that I might murder him in 2 months' time and get arrested before I've even ever had the inclination. And I might never have had the inclination anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a prediction, it's just based on a statistic.
Well, they make films about this stuff, and that's where a lot of their ideas come from, science fiction. And it's they could go anywhere with it, and none of it's for our real benefit. It's just like, say, control, more control.
Yeah. I mean, just human movements are heavily controlled. Just on their own, you can't get from one country to another country without, showing them your papers and confirming who you are and that you're not a potential risk.
All your stuff.
But then even driving a car, you've got to follow all the speed limits and all the rest of it, and you can't park here, but you can park there, and it's just very, very heavily controlled. But people only see a little side of it. It might only affect them once in a while, so they think. When you lay it all out as a whole, the amount of control over human movements is massive. And the next logical step from that would be to control human thought processes, which they've already been doing with the subliminal messages, with the TV programming, with the educational system. So yeah, how far off it are they? And they're already testing this stuff on subjects, in these black ops with targeted individuals and stuff. So yeah, very interesting.
We're all guinea pigs to it. That's what Facebook is set up to, just gather information.
Yes.
Online banking. It's just all there. Convenience. That's how they sell it, don't they? Convenience. But you just give them all your rights. Set this app with convenience. Or it is really convenient having it, and I want to continue using it. So they put in you've got to accept. Who reads the clauses?
Exactly. The devil's in the detail.
Why does a bank app need to know my location and stuff like that? Or access to my photographs? You know what I mean? It's like, but you have to accept it, or else you can't use it no more.
Yep.
So it's just gathering everything. It won't know everything about you. And the next logical step is knowing what you're thinking, or what your future thoughts are going to be.
What you're about to think. Yeah.
But your thoughts change, so it's like that future thought will be a past thought, and then your thoughts change, don't they?
They do.
As you gather information and.
Well, yeah, just me personally, my thoughts on any one subject can change, very quickly, and I can flip flop on something before I make my mind up on it.
Yeah, because sometimes you might follow the information, and then when you get some more, it changes things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, my husband's home from work, so I'm just going to let him in. Won't be a moment. You can take over the reins, Aaron.
Yeah, great. I should have done some snacks or something.
Yeah, I'll have some, thanks. Yeah, so I mean, I think we've covered this subject as deeply as we can, as deeply as we can try and fathom it from a human perspective. Anyway, next week's topic. Can I just make a suggestion? What do you think of? Why don't we take the suggestion from Richard Burke and look into embryo base editing and the manufacturing of dreams and etc. And see if we can have a discussion about that next week.
Yeah, we can touch on any subject really. We can have a go at it and just see where it goes. Because things
see where it goes.
Something else usually, don't they?
Yeah. Oh well, we always go off tangent, don't we? And
what it's about.
We'll make Richard moderator for next week, and then he can drop the links in and stuff.
Yeah, see if we can get some chat going.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us and for listening in. Thanks for your input, Richard. We really appreciate it. So that's us. That's me signing out. Anyway.
All right. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.
See you next week.
All right. See you later.
See you later. Good night.